Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our briefing of December 3rd, 2020. Today, we'll be getting an update from Public Health, and then we'll be talking about winter salt use and its impact on our city and how you can help us out. So we have a number of speakers, starting with Molly Budlong of Public Health Madison Dane County to talk about education and compliance with the public health orders. Molly?
Good morning. My name is Molly Budlong, and I am the Compliance Team Lead for Public Health, Madison and Dane County during our COVID-19 emergency response. I'm here this morning to talk about Public Health, Madison and Dane County's education and compliance efforts during our response. The current emergency order number 10 with amendment went into effect on November 20th and is in effect until December 16th. The order continues to require individuals over age 5 to wear face coverings, limit mass gatherings, businesses to have cleaning, protective measure, and hygiene policies in place, and maintain physical distancing, all actions that have been shown to limit the spread of COVID-19 in our community. We continue to get questions from businesses about what to do when a staff member is a close contact of someone who has tested positive or they have tested positive themselves. We understand with the level of community spread, there will be many businesses affected. There's a very helpful document available on our website that offers guidance to employers that may find themselves in a variety of different situations. This can be found on the requirements for business webpage of our website. We are also asking businesses to aid in contact tracing by identifying and notifying close contacts of positive individuals. All employers should know the definition of a close contact and look for ways of limiting close contacts within the workplace. If someone is within 6 feet or less for 15 cumulative minutes with a person who has tested positive 2 days or less before symptom onset, they are considered a close contact and must self-quarantine for the full 14 days. It is required that those that have tested positive or have been deemed a close contact isolate or quarantine for the full duration of time to prevent further spread in our community, keep individuals well, and prevent outbreaks in workplaces which could cause a disruption in services or closure due to staffing shortages. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 emergency response, our goal in the compliance and business support team has been to educate businesses about the current orders and help them be in compliance. We continue working toward this goal with education first and enforcement actions second. Since March 18th, we have received complaints regarding over 1,000 businesses, and since July 18th, we have received about 1,200 complaints that have received educational follow-up. When a first complaint is received, business education is performed through a compliance outreach letter. Second or subsequent complaints result in an on-site investigation at the business. If violations are observed during the on-site investigation, a citation is issued or it is referred for further prosecution. To date, about 106 on-site investigations have happened, with about 50 in the queue. From these investigations, there have been about 65 citations. Public Health Madison and Dane County appreciates all that the businesses have done to implement the COVID-19 policies for hygiene, cleaning, and protective measures. We want to acknowledge and take the time to thank the many businesses for doing their best in complying with the emergency orders to keep our community well and limit the spread of COVID-19. Your help and partnership during this emergency response is important and so greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're going to get into salt issues and water quality, starting with Amy Barrio from our water utility. Amy?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to move this microphone down so so it's not exactly in my face. In Wisconsin in the winter, we use a lot of salt. That's no surprise. If you look outside today, you're not going to see any of it, but it is still there. The salt we use stays in Madison's environment. It's in our lakes and our wetlands, harming small aquatic life. It's in our soil, and it's in our groundwater. Madison's drinking water source is groundwater. We have a plentiful sandstone aquifer below our feet that provides almost 9 billion gallons of water to our city every year. But the chemicals we put on the ground, like road salt, can threaten that aquifer. We see signs of salt infiltration at 5 of our 23 municipal wells in Madison. If we don't reduce the amount of salt reaching those wells, the water at one of them could actually start to taste salty within the next 15 years, 2 others within the next 40 years. This is a problem that starts and ends with our community. We are responsible for the salt we use, for what we're putting into the environment. Half of all the salt used in Madison is put on parking lots, sidewalks, and driveways. So we're not just talking about roads and highways. But if we work together, we can get a handle on this problem. Madison Water Utility is a proud founding member of the Wisconsin Saltwise Partnership, aimed at reducing salt use in our waterways across Madison and Dane County. We work to show people what the right amount of salt looks like. It's far less than you think. We encourage people to use sand for traction instead of salt. We encourage the use of brine to pre-treat roads and parking lots, which can drastically reduce the amount of salt needed. The City of Madison offers an innovative salt certification program for winter maintenance professionals who care for those parking lots and sidewalks, and we are working as a city to reduce our own salt use. You'll hear about those programs in just a minute. I want to say it's not easy to change behavior or to change the misconception that more is better. More salt makes us safer. Parking lots and roads should be white with salt in the wintertime. That is not true. That's too much. We owe it to future generations, to our children and grandchildren, to do everything we can to protect our critical water resources, even in the winter and even in Wisconsin. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Next is Phil Gabler from Engineering.
Hi, I'm Phil Gabler, an engineer for the City of Madison, and I've been working with Saltwise and with the salt certification program for the last 3 years. And when you look for places to reduce winter salt in the City of Madison, parking lots rise to the top of that list. They're often maintained by professional winter maintenance businesses. They have a history of being heavily salted because they are heavily used, and there's been this perception that putting down more salt makes a parking lot inherently more safe. And they also make up a high percentage of the overall surfaces in Madison that are maintained during the winter. In Lake Winger's watershed, parking lots make up 1/3 of the area maintained, but they account for almost 50% of the salt used. Because of these reasons, we feel that having this voluntary certification program that targets winter service professionals, we can have a large impact in our salt reduction efforts. And as I said, we've been doing this voluntary program for 3 years, and we've been doing this training for 10 years. And we've started to see some momentum in the community as the winter service professionals are realizing that they can realize salt savings, which saves them money, and maintain a safe surface. In the trainings, we cover the environmental impact of salt, which is eye-opening for many people. We've found that many applicators think that this salt just goes away, but salt doesn't go away. We looked at ways to calibrate equipment, select the proper materials, and advise on how to reduce salt while maintaining these safe surfaces. So how can you get someone certified? There are trainings that we offer throughout the fall and the spring season, these are free. Right now they are done online, and all you have to do is sign up and you go through the program online, you take a quiz, which most people pass, and you become a certified applicator. Our applicators that have gone through the programs have commented on how they have learned lots of great ways to better serve their clients, and some have found they can reduce their application rates by 80% and have no reduction in the safety of their surfaces. Property owners in Madison can help support the program and reduce salt by hiring certified applicators. You can ask your winter maintenance professionals to become certified if they're not. You can also ask someone who's not certified and not able to become certified right now to follow some of the guidelines that are put on the SaltWise website. There's lots of great resources out there. And you also can ask your current professional some basic questions, like, do you measure the pavement temperature and adjust the application rate based on that temperature? Do you use the guidelines that have been put forth by Dane County and SaltWise? Those are listed on the SaltWise webpage. Do you calibrate your equipment? Can you report the application rate for each storm? And can I adjust my contract so that I pay for a level of service as opposed to paying for the amount of salt put down? If your winter service professional is answering no to all or most of those questions, there's probably a really good opportunity for reduced salt use and an increased level of service for you as the customer. So I ask you to look into asking your professional to become certified and to ask these questions and hopefully get your professional to answer yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. And our final speaker for today is Charlie Romines, who's our street superintendent.
Thank you, Mayor. Charlie Romines, Streets Division Superintendent. I can certainly vouch for the certification training that engineering puts on. We put over 150 of our Streets Division plow and salt operators through that training in the last couple of years. I can vouch that it is well done. It is at the level our operators can easily understand and implement. So for any private entities that, or public for that matter, that use salt, I can't encourage you strongly enough as a practitioner myself to send your employees from supervisors right on through the operators to that training. The Streets Division over the last decade has worked very hard to reduce the amount of salt we use while still providing safe winter driving conditions in the City of Madison. The City of Madison does not have a bare pavement policy, although certainly we have high expectations in the city for what our streets look like shortly after a storm. In order to meet those, we have stepped up in the last 3 years. We've nearly doubled our capacity to anti-ice or brine. You'll recognize that as the white pencil lines on the streets that allows us to use less salt when we have those snow and icing events. On average, over the last decade, we've had 38 salting events per winter that we respond to. Over the past 5 or 6 years, that has averaged, and it is difficult to compare a winter to another winter, but we've averaged about 9,000 tons of salt on City of Madison streets. Bear in mind that we only salt about half the streets in the city, about 850 miles. Those are our salt routes. We have the other 850 miles approximately that are non-salt routes. Those are roads that never get salted. They are plowed when we get 3 inches of snow or more of accumulation, and they are often sanded for traction. So as we've put our employees through the SaltWise, which I think is another good thing to look up. You can internet search SaltWise in Wisconsin. There's a lot of great tips and information on there. We have looked at this winter, and with the changes that COVID has brought about, with students not being in school and with the metro bus routes being reduced, to look at another opportunity for this winter to look at further reductions of salt use. In order to qualify for a salt route in the City of Madison, the long-standing policy has been a road needs to be a major street or collector. It needs to have a school, a Madison Police Precinct, a Madison Fire Station, or be a Metro bus route. So we have a number of streets that this year, with students attending class virtually and with Metro having their bus routes reduced, that do not qualify as SALT routes for this winter. So in recognition of that and trying to reduce SALT wherever we can, we have taken those off the SALT routes for this winter. Those roads will be restored in the future per the policy once students begin attending school again and once the Metro routes are reduced. What that means for this winter is we will see a 7% reduction in SALT use. So that would be, on an average winter, about 600 tons less salt used. We have another section of roads that, as we look through that, we may have some opportunity to have some permanent reduction out of that still fit within that policy. For anyone that has questions on which roads or which blocks are affected, you can go to the City of Madison's Streets Winter page, and we have that listed out. That's all I have.
Thank you, Charlie, and thanks, everybody. I just want to take us back to where we started, which is why this is all important, and that's our aquifer. It's our drinking water. We are in danger of over-salting some of our wells, and so it's really important that we all take this seriously and think about adjusting our winter expectations around salt use, putting in maybe a little more elbow grease, or, you know, there's a lot of people looking for jobs. Maybe hire somebody to shovel instead of putting salt out. And we ask you to be patient and accepting of the changes that the city is making in salting this year. I think it's going to, obviously 7% is a pretty significant decrease in salt use for the city, and that's really going to make a difference for our wells and our drinking water. And that's really why we're focused on this, is keeping that salt out of our environment, out of our wells, and ultimately not coming through your tap. I have a number of updates to share this week before we get to questions. So we'll start back at public health. And I know that vaccines have been in the news a lot, and I just want to sort of set expectations here locally. Well, we do expect that we may start to be able to vaccinate first responders, healthcare workers, and really priority folks. It's not likely that a COVID-19 vaccine will be available to the public until next spring or later. We are preparing very carefully for approval of a vaccine and then the rollout of that process. Public health is working closely with healthcare and with the state around this. But we're asking folks in the public to not count on a vaccine being available over this winter, and to not decrease the care that you're taking to keep yourself and others safe just because we're reading about a vaccine in the news. We do expect that the vaccine will not be available to everyone right away, that it will be phased in who is eligible for it. That's because we really need to focus on our healthcare system first and on the most vulnerable folks who could contract COVID-19. So again, patience and monitoring the information that's coming out of the CDC is going to be important. And because that vaccine is likely not going to be available for all of us until next spring or later, it's really important that we all keep taking the precautions that we're taking now. Wash your hands, wear your mask, keep your distance, take it outside if you can. Don't gather with folks indoors if at all possible. Keep yourself safe, keep your family safe, keep your community safe while we all wait for a vaccine to be approved and widely available. Other notes, if you missed this in the pre-Thanksgiving run-up, we did start flying the flag of the HoChunk Nation here at the City of Madison in front of the municipal building here on Martin Luther King Jr. Drive. And I hope that us flying the nation's flag will be a reminder to everyone that the city exists on the ancestral lands of the HoChunk Nation. This is a way for us to honor that history and to strengthen the ties between the city and the nation. I want to thank in particular Alder Arvina Martin for helping to raise the flag, and HoChunk Nation President Marlon White Eagle for gifting the flag to the city. I have a streets department announcement. The winter drop-off site hours are beginning as of December 7th, and all of the drop-off sites will be closed on Saturday, December 5th. So that's the first note, closed on the 5th, new hours on the 7th. And the two sites that will be open over the winter are the West Badger Road site at 1501 West Badger Road and the Sycamore Ave site at 4602 Sycamore Ave. They will be open starting on December 7th for Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, 7:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. The South Point site will be closed through April 2021. You can find out more information about the drop-off sites, the materials accepted, the hours, etc. on the Streets Division website. Also happy to announce that the city has renewed our operating agreement with Madison BCycle. We've had 10 successful seasons of bike sharing here in Madison, and we have inked another operating agreement to continue the Madison BCycle electric bike share program in Madison for another 10 years. It does include a 10-year renewal option after that. BCycle has been an important part of our transportation system, and that has only grown over the past 10 years, so I'm really delighted that we're able to renew this contract. I'm looking forward to another decade of innovation in transportation, which will include integrating the BCycle system with our bus rapid transit system. I want to thank the folks at Trek, BCycle, and the city staff that worked on this. I have a few other notes about things going on in the city. We had a survey here in the city that was done by our Multicultural Affairs Committee and our Women Initiatives Committee in 2019 that revealed an alarming number of employees who are transgender or non-binary at the city don't feel safe sharing their gender at the workplace. So to address these issues, a team of city staff developed a policy outlining requirements needed to become an organization that is more inclusive for transgender, gender nonconforming, and non-binary employees at the organizational, agency, and individual level here at the city. They also developed a resource guide and a language style guide to provide support and guidance that is inclusive of all genders. I'm really grateful for the work that this team has done, and I was proud to be able to sign this policy into life. I'm excited to see the impact that this can have on our work and organizational culture. And I hope that it can serve as an example for the private sector as well. In order to become a Madison that is inclusive, innovative, and thriving, which is our goal, we have to first become an organization where everybody feels welcome and supported. We've also been working here at the city to address racial bias within city government. And in October of this year, the mayor's management team, which is all of our city's department heads and the mayor's office staff, used 3 of our meetings to engage in an in-depth discussion about white supremacy culture and the impacts that white supremacy has on our culture here at work, including our operations and outcomes. This was facilitated by really skilled facilitators from the NINA Collective, a local group. And the discussions that we had, while challenging, really helped us focus intentional time on this important work of uncovering the patterns of white supremacy culture in ourselves, in our leadership, and in the organization as a whole. Obviously, it would be naive to think that 3 sessions would be enough to change everything. It's going to take us time to really make this stick, but it's an important effort, and I'm committed to continuing the conversation and the work to change our internal culture. A couple of updates on public safety. Earlier this year, you may recall, we had hundreds of folks reach out to the mayor's office asking us to adopt the 8 can't wait measures. These are 8 best practices around police use of force, and the campaign asked that police departments and cities adopt them. Our initial score reported by the 8 Can't Wait website was 4 out of the 8. I asked the Public Safety Review Committee and the Madison Police Department to review our policies and get us to 8 out of 8. I'm happy to report that we are now at 8 out of the 8 Can't Wait. And I want to thank everybody for their work on this, and to thank MPD for their continued work to implement these policies. And I look forward to working both with MPD and the Public Safety Review Committee and the new Civilian Oversight Board to continue to adopt and implement best practices. Some good news, Madison has earned an Intelligent Transportation Systems Award. Our traffic engineering team was presented the Intelligent Transportation Society of Wisconsin's 2020 Project of the Year Award. This distinction was earned for the city's active traffic management system, which combines communication networks with critical software applications to manage and regulate traffic control devices. And if you know what that means, good for you. It's more than I do. It's fancy and it works. And the tools allow, the whole point is that they allow for remote monitoring to respond to traffic conditions in real time. So when we have traffic again, we can respond to those conditions and adjust the signals in the system to promote a more safe environment. So the project was recognized for providing a relatively low-cost solution using technology and active traffic management to reduce congestion, enhance safety, and improve the overall utility of Madison's transportation network to support continued growth in the area in a cost-effective and more sustainable way. So congratulations to the traffic engineering team on this award, and thanks for your good work. Also have good news from the Parks Department. The Madison Parks Calendar Photography winners have been announced. Included in this year's winning calendar images are 3 of our conservation parks, the Forest Hill Cemetery and beloved Tenney Park. I want to congratulate all the photographers and thank you for submitting. There are limited quantities of the calendar available. They may be purchased online or by phone from the Parks Department, and all proceeds from the sale of the calendars go to the Madison Parks Foundation. So want to check that out. Might be a good holiday gift. And if you're a photographer, encourage you to get out into the parks, take some pictures, and you can submit for next year's calendar. And then last but not least in the good news department, I'm really happy to remind us that the Jeffrey Clay Erlinger Award in Public Discourse winner this year is Rabbi Bonnie Margulis. The award was created by the Common Council to honor Madison residents who exemplify Jeff Erlinger's model of fairness, openness, and civility in public discourse. Jeff, who passed away in 2007, was really committed to public service. He was a really fantastic guy. And he understood that through civil debate and effective representation, those with varying opinions could come together on how to solve issues in our community. I think his example is perhaps needed even more right now. I'm always humbled by the caliber of the Erlinger Award winners in our city, and Rabbi Bonnie is really no exception. Her leadership, her compassion, her deep commitment to justice, her consensus building skills, and her ability to connect with people of all walks of life are characteristics that she shares with Jeff Erlinger. And the work that Rabbi Bonnie has done and continues to do in our community really brings people together and makes our city a better place. So I'm really pleased that she's being recognized with this award. If you don't know Rabbi Bonnie, she's the founder, president, and executive director of the Wisconsin Faith Voices for Justice, which is a statewide interfaith organization working towards social and economic justice on local, state, and federal levels. The organization was founded in 2011 to raise the progressive religious voice in support of low-income and underserved populations. So thanks again to Rabbi Bonnie for her work, and congratulations. Finally, as I always do, I want to highlight some community resources and upcoming meetings. So if you are in need of housing, if you're homeless or in danger of losing your housing, please call our housing helpline. The phone is 608-264-0549, and the email is housinginfo@cityofmadison.com. If you need assistance with internet or phone, you can call the Public Service Commission at the state. Their helpline is 608-267-3595. If you need help finding childcare, please call Community Coordinated Childcare for a referral. Their phone number is 608-216-7022. To identify emergency food options near you or to connect with other social services, please call the United Way 211 line. That's 211 on your phone, or text your zip code to 898-211. And finally, the city is offering Financial Navigators, a free financial resource hotline to help residents navigate financial issues that are related to the COVID-19 pandemic. The website is cityofmadison.com/financial hotline, and the phone number is 608-315-5151. I encourage folks to take advantage of these resources. It's been a really hard year, and there's no shame in asking for help. These resources and more are posted at cityofmadison.com. You can click on the Community Resources link. And then upcoming meetings, Thursday, December 3rd at 5, the Public Library Board meets. At 5:30, the Community Development Block Grant Committee meets. At 5:30, also the Affirmative Action Commission will meet. And at 6, the Body-worn Camera Feasibility Review Committee meets. On Monday, December 7th at 5, the Police Civilian Oversight Board will have their second meeting. Also at 5, the Landmarks Commission and the Transportation Policy and Planning Board. And at 5:30 on Monday, the City County Homeless Issues Committee will meet. On Tuesday, December 8th, the Police and Fire Commission meets at 8:30 a.m. And on Wednesday, the 9th, at 5, the Transportation Commission meets. At 5:30, the Police and Fire Commission will meet again. And at 7, the Body-worn Camera Feasibility Review Committee will meet again as well. All of these meetings are virtual. You can find agendas, minutes, information on how to register to comment, or where to send an email, or how to watch these meetings on the city's website, cityofmadison.com. Click on the meetings calendar. That is what I have for this week. I know we have a few questions.
Yes, we do. We have a number for public health and one for you.
All right, so let's start with the folks from Public Health.
Good morning, Molly.
Good morning.
The first question for you is, what authority do local health officials have in preventing people who know they have COVID from traveling on airplanes?
Great question. All individuals that live within Dane County that have tested positive for COVID-19 are contacted by one of our contact tracers to follow up with them. The further legalities of health officers preventing travel can be found through our communications team.
Thank you. And the next question is, has Public Health modified its guidelines on quarantine time to reflect what the CDC is now recommending, which is 7 to 10 days? Or is Public Health sticking with a longer quarantine time of 14 days?
Yes, I know this is on many people's minds right now. The CDC posted new guidance yesterday on their website. The Wisconsin Department of Health Services reviews that guidance and how that's implemented across Wisconsin. So please continue checking our social media pages and website for any updates that may be coming up. Right now, the quarantine time is still at 14 days.
Thank you. And the last question for you, which the mayor touched on, says, can Public Health go into detail on where they're at in their vaccine distribution plan, where they did plan to store vaccines, and any current logistical issues they might still be working through?
Yes, there is a team diligently working on all the logistics of the vaccine. I'm not part of that team, so further information regarding those logistics and questions can be referred to our communications team.
Thank you so much, Molly.
Thank you.
And Mayor, we have one question for you. And it says, some union groups and council members have expressed disappointment that you have not ruled out a mandatory furlough in 2021 for city employees. Are you considering a voluntary furlough program alone to achieve budget savings, or could there be a mandatory furlough for the city employees after some of them have already taken a voluntary furlough?
Okay, thanks for the question. Maybe a little background is useful. So the adopted 2021 budget, which received a unanimous vote from the City Council, includes the need to save $1.2 million through furloughs. So we have to achieve that amount of savings, and absent something dramatic changing in our budget. And it's, again, I'll say, if the City if the City Council had wanted to rule out furloughs altogether, they would have needed to find $1.2 million or something short of that to reduce the furlough program. Because both the council and our friends in labor really wanted to try a voluntary unpaid time away program before we went to mandatory furloughs, we are rolling that out. We're actually right now in the time period where staff can voluntarily sign up for unpaid time next year if that's what they want to do. After we close that sign-up period, which will be yet this month, we will do the calculations to understand how much that is going to save. That amount of savings will reduce the amount of mandatory furloughs that we will need to take in 2021. If we achieve the whole $1.2 million through voluntary unpaid time away, that's great. And that'll be the end of it. If we don't, we will have to institute a mandatory furlough program, and when we understand how much savings we've achieved voluntarily, then we'll start to design the mandatory program. We just really can't know what we're going to need to do until we understand what kind of savings we can achieve through the voluntary unpaid time away. So it's a wait and see situation. I do expect, that if we can learn from what the county has done, I think we projected that we might save maybe $200,000 through voluntary unpaid time away. So I do expect that we will need to have mandatory furloughs next year, unfortunately. But again, we'll have to wait and see, and we should know that sometime in January of next year.
Thank you, Mayor. Those are the questions for today.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Thanks to all our speakers, and thanks to all of you for tuning in. We will see you next week.